Okay, welcome back to one of our video tutorials brought to you by Realms of Forgotten Worlds. Okay, we're going to be checking out some things in Unity, but before that, I'd like to introduce the book, Realms of Forgotten Worlds, where your adventure, you decide, is basically a multi-option sci-fi. Okay, so you basically decide where the book goes, how it ends. Okay, so we have 71 decisions, 234 chapters, 70 tragic endings, and one goal. That's pretty much just reach book 2, but so you have to stay alive. Alright, so let's continue with our video. Okay, so here we're going to see a brand new scene I haven't set up before. It's actually a test project, a separate project from my main one, so we can do anything we want here and it won't affect the other project. Okay, sounds pretty safe. Okay, so let's start setting this up. I got a pretty wide monitor here. Oh, what I think is wide. It's probably some much bigger than mine here. But we can go here to layout, wide. Okay, I like that format a little better. Layers, probably won't mess with that. Okay, so I have the hierarchy menu here. Usually drag that about there. Project menu about there, so I can read the words. The assets over here. And you can adjust the size over here. Okay, pretty basic. A lot of you probably already know that. Before you get really bored, let's get down to it. Okay, let's see in the hierarchy menu here. We can see we have our main camera, which is great. Okay, I usually don't keep the main camera anymore. I used to. Well, you can if you're gonna make a menu. Okay, won't hurt anything. You just have to take out this here, audio listener. Okay, because your player has an audio listener, right? Okay, so basically what we're going to do now, we're going to find our player. Okay, so instead of looking through the assets, that's going to be a really big list later on when you have your project going. Okay, we're going to look over here in this little magnifying glass field. Okay, I'm going to put in player. Okay, so we only have one here. Actually, my other project, I have quite a few. When adjusting the height and everything, the distance player could see and all that stuff. Okay, so we only have one here. Okay, so let's drag that into our scene. Okay, so let's check out our player, relative controls. Well, that's probably not the one we want then, is it? Okay, so what happened there? Okay, so it's not really player, is it? Okay, so later on you may want to name your player, right? For just the sake of finding it faster. Okay, I'm just remembering here in the Unity it's called first player. First person player. Okay, that's been a while, so first person controller. Okay, first person controls. Okay, almost the same. Okay, let's drag that in there. Okay, looks like a little bit more of what I remember from before. Okay, so let's just simply go over here and delete. Goodbye. Okay, so a really good habit I have of working with a project. After many trial and errors, I keep everything at 0, 0, and 0. Okay, and the main camera, as you can see here, both have cameras. Okay, so later on we're working with frames per second and draw calls. Probably don't want two cameras too close together, right? Alright, so let's put a main camera. So we have it 0, 1, and 10. Okay, just 0, 0, 0. Let's get this blue line here, which is Z factor here. Okay, so we started moving the coordinates over here. -16. Okay, we just put in something. Let's set it way out there. We can put in maybe a -500. Okay, won't affect anything. We're still seeing at 1,000 though. So let's take that down to a good distance. If you have a menu, you don't need more than 10 meters anyway. Let's put at 20. Okay. Okay, HDR if you want. Okay, that's great. Okay, so we have our first person controller and main camera safe distance away. Okay, just taking into account frames per second. Not an issue here yet, but it will be. Believe me, it's going to be a big issue. Alright, especially when I publish your game Okay, so we found our first person. All right. Later on, I eventually named that to player, just to find it faster. Okay, so tag. Okay, let's check out the tag here. Okay, so we see it's untagged. Here's a really important part here. Probably this should be automatic. It's common sense, right? But it's not tagged. I'm gonna put this to player. Obviously, it's gonna be your player, right? Okay. Well, maybe if you have a few in a script to control each one, have no idea how to do that though. But possibly that's the reason why it's not default. Okay. So we want to tag player. Okay. Or else some of our scripts won't work. All right. So we have a player. Okay. Now we need something for our player to walk on, right? All right. Well, probably some of you have experience. That's common sense. But when I was just starting, it wasn't really common sense. Okay, so we can put this at 0.5 and keep it a little thin. Let's work on the width. 50 is good. Okay, yeah, 50 is good as well. Okay, see our player is a little stuck in the middle of that. If we hit play, he'll just fall through, which would be pretty drastic for some to see. Okay, so this is the button for expand. Okay, if you haven't seen that, not really part of this video. That's really basic. Just have to mess around with that a little bit. Okay, lift him up a little bit. Okay, don't have any textures here. Maybe we find some textures, ground textures or something. Let's see, terrain assets, trees, grass. Okay. We're looking for the round ones. These are just, here we go. These are kind of transparent though. Okay, so we don't have any materials made yet. We have some shaders, tree creator, toon shading. Alright, I don't feel too toony today. Okay, now we just go for this. Right, it's basically black. Okay. Okay, actually I was expecting just a bit more there in textures, but okay, you're just gonna have to make your own textures. Unity, as you can see, doesn't come with a whole lot of textures and even less materials, so that's the first job actually for your project. Okay, well, let's focus mainly on what we're gonna focus this video on, is transporting your player. Okay, so we're going to transport our player. Okay, so we have our player here. Let's hit play just to see how that looks. Oh, we do have some texture there, do we? Don't we? So we see the sky. That looks great. You can adjust the sky, of course. This probably be another video, so we don't get too off track. Let's try moving with the W key. All right, W key works really good. I don't got the run control yet. That's an add-on script for your player. Okay, so we got some basic controls. You can turn around and look. Great. Okay. Alright, so let's throw in our little JavaScript here and see how that can affect our transportation abilities. Now, okay, let's get down to it. How we're going to transport our player from point A to point B. That's the big question, right? Okay, so let's visualize this a little bit. So creating the scene, we got basically the, I don't know, the panorama. Huge, like universal type scenario for those who are into gaming. It's like the dream for every gamer to have a huge place to explore and find things. Okay, let's keep that idea. Okay, that's what we want to do, is transport your player from point A to B. If you get down to it, you don't want to be that imaginative. You want to save on draw calls. Yeah, that's it too. Okay, you transport your player from point A to B. Okay, so you don't have to see the whole scenario if your occlusion culling isn't working that well. Okay, we're going to be doing this the easy way. Okay, well, more because when I was into this, there wasn't that much help. Okay, but nowadays there is more help, and I'm going to share my advice to make this really easy for some. Okay, well, just to help out. Okay, the easy way. We're going to be using JavaScript. Okay, because that wasn't very clear for me in the beginning either. There are different types of scripting. JavaScript is the one we're going to be seeing today, and here it is. Okay, if you want to put the video on pause, you can copy this. Okay, this is basically the script that caused me a little bit of agony. Probably the most important script you're going to have in your game. Okay, very important. Write this down, memorize it if you can. Here it is. Well, let's come back to our project here in Unity. Alright, the same exact scene we saw before. The player here. You can click on your right mouse button, move around like this. Makes things a whole lot easier. I didn't mention that before. Just an extra tip there if you want to take it. Okay, may have to close out some more menus there. Okay, so we see here standard assets here. Okay, so at this point it might be a good idea to create a folder. Okay, so we have other folders. These are these here. They're reflected over here. Okay, let's create a folder. Say folder. Okay, let's call this one scripts. This is actually the key to a successful project, keeping everything organized. Okay, we have our folder scripts. Open that. Okay, it's empty. Alright, which isn't that bad. Okay, we just have to fill it. Alright, right click, create. Okay, but instead of creating a folder, let's go down to JavaScript. We're going to call this one, we could call it whatever you want, but I preferred the name is respawn. There's something really easy to find here in the little field here. You put respawn, find it really fast. Okay, so we have our respawn. You can see here in this import objects, it comes with its own little formula. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, come back over here to our script, double click. Okay, let's see what we have here. Alright, so we see basically we saw in the window there. Alright, so we're basically, we can leave it if you want to be creative. I just erase it, and I have my respawn script over on this other monitor. Copy that and paste. Actually, I was gonna type it out there, but I'll save you all the agony of watching me to type that stuff. Okay, so we have our script here. Alright, let's go through it. See, something's highlighted here. The brackets are open, closed, open, closed. Everything looks good. Well, some things look good, but then when you test it out, then they're not really that good. This is really sensitive with spaces and points and stuff like that. And okay, you may get used to it. Alright, so something very important after that, we have to save our JavaScript. Okay, since we already named it, just go over here and save. If you're working with another one and modifying it a little bit, you would have put save as. Okay, kind of common sense. You may say, well, yeah, that's something I already know. Alright, but it's really important. You can cause a lot of mistakes just clicking save. Or you might modify your original file, something you wanted to modify and create another file. Okay, well, just something from trial and error. I did that quite a few times. So there you go. Alright, we saved our file. I usually close this out, not to cause any problems next round. Okay, alright, so we have our script. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, see where we want to go. Okay, so let's zoom out. This is something only gamers are able to do. Just maneuver like this. Pretty much everybody else does this. That's not the way I do things though. Okay, I prefer the gamer way. Alright, all those Fallout fans out there. Okay, this is the way we do things. Okay, so we got our player. We're gonna need a place for him to go. Alright, so you could call this, this is another thing I usually do. Let's double click on that. Let's create empty. Yeah, we've seen this before, but let's do it again. It's at 0, 0, 0. Awesome. Okay, area 1, because we're going to be transporting stuff. Okay, the cube is in area 1. Okay, area 1. Alright, this is what I usually do. strongly recommend do the same, because keeping organized is something is key in any project. Okay, so this would obviously be area 2, right? Obviously. Okay, so area 2 you see is at 0, 0, 0 as well. Let's change the y coordinates to 500. Okay, for frames per second and draw call's sake. Okay, it's at 200. This cube though, let's create a duplicate. This is going to be the floor. Okay, let's put this duplicate at 500 as well. It's in area 1. It's not supposed to be there. Let's put in area 2. There it is. Okay, let's zoom out, get a perspective on that. There's area 1 down there, area 2 over here. Okay, something else, you can add some color. Make that one orange, make this one blue. Okay, so you can see that. Let's click back through those so we can move it. Area 1, you can see there, and area 2. Okay, not really important now, but later on it definitely will be. Okay, so we need something to transport our player. What could that be? Okay, let's go to area 1, since this is we're going to be beginning. Area 1, we're going to need a spawn point. Sorry. Okay, so any gamer knows this. This is the place you're going to be reappearing if you die or fall into acid or fall off a cliff. Okay, this is our spawn point. Okay, so let's get our cube, edit, and duplicate. Alright, so let's make this smaller. Well, you could do this too if you want to be creative. 0.5, 0.5, and 0.5. Okay, let's keep everything relative. This is in meters. That's actually something important to know. Okay, you gotta keep everything in. It's kind of in context. Also, later on when you're creating furniture and stuff like that, you may have a huge chair that's like 3 times bigger than your player, or really miniature. Okay, so you gotta kind of keep everything in context. Think in meters. Okay. Alright, so we had our lights turned on. That's why everything looked black. Okay, so let's look at our spawn point. So what I do is I usually call these landers, because they basically land you, right? Okay, a lander. Alright, and from trial and error, take out the box collider so you don't bump around with it or have some funny things. You don't need any occlusion culling properties, since you can't really see it. You see there, we took out the box collider and the mesh renderer so you don't see it. Okay, but you can see it here. You can name this lander 1, 2, 3, 4. What I sometimes do is I rename it to main lander. Okay, so I know in area 1 this is the main lander. Okay, alright, so we have where we're going to appear. Now we need something that's going to send us, which is the sender. Okay, so let's make a sender. Alright, we want our player to go this way, or maybe that way, or wherever. Okay, let's get our cube, edit. Here's a tip here, don't click copy. That may seem like the right thing to do, but believe me, it's not. You want to duplicate. You can try it if you want, but it'll turn out really fatal. Okay, this is going to be our sender here. Alright, we're not doing anything too aesthetic here. Alright, let's put it about here. Okay, you could put a transparent, actually we do have some transparent textures here. Let's see, here in our train assets, palm trees. That's transparent. Actually, it's kind of cool. Not very useful, but cool. Okay, you may want to take this out, but don't do that. We need our box collider so it can detect any collisions. We're just going to put on trigger here. Okay, and if you want to see it, that's good. If you don't, you can take that out. It still work. Don't need any occlusion culling properties. If it's transparent, in this case, you can see it. So you can put a occlude static. It's kind of like glass and stuff like that, so it still count, so you can see things on the other side for occlusion culling sake. Okay, this is set up to be our sender. So that's what we want to name it. Of course, you can name it whatever you want, but this is it's turned out to be a really good name for me to remember and just use it and be consistent. That's another key for having a successful project. Okay, so we have our main lander and we have our sender. Okay, this is what's going to send us. Okay, so add component. Okay, you can look for the script we just made, or you can put it here. Respawn. We see it here, right at the top. We have a respawn. Awesome. Okay, so now you see here I have an empty field here. We have no transform. Transform is basically the name of where we're going. Okay, we're going to area 2. So let's go to area 2. Here's our cube. We're going to be doing something basically in area, like in area 1, making a lander. So our cube, duplicate. Let's reduce this to 0.5, 0.5, and 0.5. Double click on that to zoom it really fast. Okay, have our arrow selected. Raise that above the ground, kind of calculate a distance that looks like is not really falling too far, but not really stuck to the floor, because if you respawn the floor, he'll fall through. He or she, your main character. Okay, again like before, take out box collider, mesh renderer if you don't want it to be visible. Okay, and here's what I do when I have several areas. Lander area 2. Alright, really good idea. Okay, so since we can't see it, we don't have to have any occlusion culling properties. Okay, these are really helpful tips. It may seem obvious to some, but you have to get this down, or you may have problems later on when the scene is really full here. You have a big list of areas and objects. It can get kind of complicated. Okay, let's go back to our sender. Okay, we have our script on our sender. Let's go to the sender so we can visualize that. Zoom in for you gamers. Zoom in like that, really cool. Okay, let's go to our script, which is on our sender. Spawn. Okay, that's what's going to send us. Okay, transform. Instead of clicking on here, and keep in mind you might have a really big scene. These may get really monotonous. Things start repeating. A lot of models. It has the same name. Okay, I used to do this, but it's not really practical after a while. Right now you can. You see we don't have too many objects here. Okay, basically what I do, I get this, drag and drop. That's easy. So that's going to be the easy way, right? Okay, that's pretty easy. Okay, the script is saying that when we hit this collider, it's going to detect the player. We saw the script. Anything called player hitting this will be transported to here, lander area 2. Alright, pretty simple. Okay, let's deactivate the lights so we can see that a little bit. Alright, that's the idea. Hit this, transport. Okay, so this is the scene view. Here's our player, and now we're going to run and hit that. We're in area 2. And the only way you know that is because there's no sender. We're in area 2 though. And this can work vice versa. Okay, you can put another sender in area 2. Now we have a little bit of time, we can do that. Okay, let's get our cube. Duplicate. Let's get our Z coordinates. Change that to 0.5. Get that a little high. Okay. Keep it from colliding with the floor. Let's give it a texture. Well, that one's fine. So you can kind of differentiate between areas. Okay. Let's name it so we don't get lost. Sender area 2. Keep everything simple, orderly. You shouldn't have too many problems later on. Okay, so we have our collider on. which is good. Our trigger is also on. Okay, we can see it. Okay, so the only thing we're needing is our script. Okay, respawn. Okay, since we already named our lander in area 1, that would be really easy. So we want the player to go back to area 1. Or it could be area 3 or area, I don't know, drowned in the ocean, wherever you want. Okay, so let's put main lander here. Okay, so hitting this, player will be transported back to area 1. Okay, everything's good. Alright, everything's checked. Let's go. Let's check that. This is area 1. Let's run into that. Now we're in area 2. Okay, so those of you new to Unity, this would be a great help. This will save you a whole lot of time trying to put together a script. Most of the advice on the community is, okay, you have to learn. That's true, you have to learn, but when you want to do something, don't lose your motivation, because it could take you a while. You may need a little bit of help like this. That's what this is for. Okay, so we're transporting here, transporting there. Area 2, and back to area 1. Alright, that's pretty cool, huh? So now we can make oceans and traps and things to fall off of and be transported back to the respawn area. Alright, let's get an example from a bigger project. This is actually a project of mine I've made called Realms of Forgotten Worlds. And I have it already open here. Well, just to get a basic idea how this can help you in your project. Okay, so let's see how this works out. Okay, so everybody needs their intro screen. This is basic my legal information here for the because everybody else has it, I guess. Okay, continue button. Okay, these are actually different kinds of scripts. They're very similar to the one we used. Next video we'll be getting into that. Transport scripts between scenes. Okay, but we're going to find an example of one we've been using in this video. Okay, so these are click on transport scripts. Also a different, actually, and here I have like 3 different transport scripts. One's the animation, and ones you run into, and ones that are actually timed with animations. Okay, we can see each one in different videos. Alright, so here we just transported to our main scene. This is basically our chapter select. Okay, so many of my landers are just like this texture here. Well, the book is based on wormholes. Okay, so it's kind of like a wormhole texture there. Alright, so there we go. Have some scenery there. Pretty impressive, right? Okay, thank you. Alright. Okay, here's our first example of a transporter, Cinder. Okay, actually have a little script here that says trapdoor. Okay, so this is my trapdoor, and right there is the first script on a collider. So if the player hits the Cinder, it will transport, and it does. And right up there is a lander, so not too close to the floor, so the player doesn't fall through the floor. Okay, so we have some other different kind of colliders there to activate animations. Very useful in any game. Okay, I'm going to kind of show this off. Here's another transport script. This script here will transport us to a different scene. Okay, actually here you can say intro. Okay, but this is actually a game book. This is something that I don't think exists yet. I made a book into a game. It may sound really funny or really weird for some people, but it's here and it's true. Alright, and here it is. Okay, so this is how I did a chapter select. Okay, so we can go to any of these chapters here simply by hitting the transport script. Okay, so there's a big collider there, so we can hit it here in the middle on the side and be transported to this area with these book chapters. Okay, And that's what we want to do. So let's just walk into that. And this script actually transports between scenes. We'll get into that in a later video. Alright, so here we go. Alright, here we can see already we have one here. This object here transports us to our internal chapter select. In our scene we have different chapters. Alright, so it's just a way of saving time. Instead of going through one chapter to the other one in sequence, we can jump, hit that lander, or the sender, sorry, and transport here. Right there is a lander that tells the sender where to send us to this area here. And we have the chapters of the book. Okay, the different names here. Alright, go after missile silo, follow coordinates, sacrifice ship, sacrifice probe. Okay, so any chapter you left off on, you can find it here. Okay, that just transported us here to the place where I put the text. Okay, so right behind us is a lander. It's invisible, you can't see it, but that told the sender where to send us. Okay, so here's our chapter, sacrifice the probe. Okay, should be available very soon as a free sample for the book, those who want to read it here on YouTube. Okay, so at the very end of our text corridor is a sender. You can't see it. Just kind of surprises you once you pass it, and it transports you here. Okay, surprise. Okay, so we're transported. Okay, invisible to the player. Okay, that may be the idea sometimes, just to have the surprise effect. Did something, boom, oh, well, what happened? You're in a different place. Okay. Some effects there so people don't get bored. Holographic effect. Different textures and shaders. Okay. Right here I have another mechanism. This one has an animation on sender. Okay, so you actually have to, let's line up the mouse icon here. You actually have to click, and it tells you here, click to enter server terminal. So clicking activates an animation that has a sender attached to it. So the sender comes forward from behind here. The animation has a sender, comes out, and it comes in contact with the player. Okay, that's something actually really cool. Well, I thought it would be. So you click here, and you actually can see this one comes out. If you hit it, it transports you. And again, there's a lander right behind the player there, where he appears, and we're in another chapter. Okay, and actually I didn't mention it, but each one of these has a lander and a sender. Okay, I want to jump ahead a bit. We're working with frames per second, as you can see here in the corner here, 66, 65 frames per second. In the beginning, that's not really a big factor, but once you're getting into bigger scenes, you may want to start paying attention to that, frames per second and draw calls. Okay, that can make your game pretty unpleasant for some if the frames per second get really low or draw calls start getting really high. It's actually what you're seeing. You're seeing 35 objects right now. I say by batching 6. Well, that's occlusion culling working and combining similar colors. Okay, but that's not really bad. Draw calls are kind of relevant, but frames per second are not. You want to keep those kind of high. The closer to 7 you can get them, the better. But that can be another video too. Right here, we're going to be seeing landers and senders. Our respawn script. Okay, you see that just worked. Transport us to another area. There's a sender here. Transports us again. Transport. Okay, and basically in the book we have different areas. Some landers are visible, like this one here. This is a lander. You can just walk right through it. Okay, that one's actually called lander. It's a model, repeats. Okay, so that's why you have to stay organized. Things start repeating, things start getting more complicated. Okay, that's when the drag and drop gets really handy. Okay, so you have the same model, the same name, you just drag and drop each time, and you shouldn't get lost. Well, you probably will, but things will be a whole lot easier that way than searching through a list for your landers. Okay, here's a sender, as you just saw. No, you can't go back. Too bad. Okay, this is actually a different chapter here. Inside the mind. Okay, so this is basically how my project works. It's a book, if you can wrap your mind around that. I haven't seen any other projects like this. Probably will be soon. That's actually my proposition for some. If you have your book, want to make it 3D, maybe we can have some communication or something. Okay, just basically for the kids. You know, kids get really bored, they want to read books, but you get them something like this. Oh, it's a game. Okay, yeah, some text. Well, maybe they can handle it, right? A game and a book. There are actually some enemies here too, some lasers and stuff, some acid and stuff you can fall in, and you get respawned back to your respawn point. Okay, so it's kind of like back to life or something like that. So you can imagine, oh, okay, I messed up, I have to go back. Okay, that's the idea. A 3D book. It's actually interactive sci-fi from the 80s, but with the touch from Unity, we made it into a very beautiful project. Thank you, Unity, by the way. Alright, so basically that's it. A very simple script, but you see all the amazing things we can do with this script. If you like this video, I hope you do. Please click the thumbs up. Any suggestions, anything else you want to see, something I skipped maybe. I do that sometimes. Please write in the comments below. I can obviously take the humor and sarcasm. Apparently, right? Yeah, just comment about anything. If you want to say hello, you can do that too. And yeah, don't forget to like the video. I'll be available on Facebook and also here on YouTube. Actually, I'm more available on YouTube as of now. I'm still on the final review of this 3D project. Should be up in hopefully this month. But I'll be available there. My email is also available here at the end of the video. And thanks for watching. Alright, well, unfortunately we're at the end of our video tutorial. Quick reminder, if you liked the video, please hit a thumbs up there. Comments and questions in the description box below. That'd be really, really nice to hear from everybody out there. And hope to see you for the next video. Thanks for watching.